Okay, just going to finish this off. What I'm looking at here, let's see if this will zoom in. Just looking at this little bit of detail here. So where these clasps come round and kind of join and have some rivets on there. Let's close that. Let's pull this over. Now what I'm not doing is I'm not smoothing these out right now. Okay, I'm not having those smoothed. So I'm going to do this pretty low poly. Let's look at this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into my mesh tools and insert edge loop. I'm going to create, I'm just going to go through and do this for these. Let's create some cuts, and actually what I'll do is I'll redo these and then I'll remirror them over. Okay. Look at how this is going to work. I'm going to go in with my multi-cut. I'm going to do the same thing I was doing before, so control press down, middle click, just create something in the middle there, and there as well. I'm going to grab, let's press Q on this. It's going to grab these verts, or I could grab the edges as well. Press move. If I double click, I'm just going to have this, I've already set it, but I'm going to set this on component. And I'm also going to go into my modeling toolkit and transform. I'm just going to set this to edge slide. I'm just going to middle mouse drag this over, so just a little bit on that. And then what I'll do is just click on the, I have to do this one by one on this. Let's click on these. So let's grab this and grab this, and the edge slide is going to keep it so it doesn't come away from the shape of the barrel too much. Oops. Into edge. So create that kind of rounded shape on this. Keep pressing Q here as well. So select these. And if I wanted to get these exactly right, I could always use this to snap. It says. I just take this off here for a second onto object. Just see if that will do that. I don't have to do this. I'm just seeing if this will kind of do this. No, I'll leave it as it is. It's fine. Because they are getting slightly bigger every time, but that's okay. So something like that. Okay. Just go in and just set my wireframe and shade it on. Just so I have those going over. I just need to raise these up a little bit. So again, there's a couple of ways that I could do this. I'm just going to go in and just grab these. What I'll do is I'll just extrude these out just to give us this bit of thickness here. Okay, so that's just lifting that above just a little bit. And then I can go in to these edges here. I'll do this bit by bit. I'm going to grab these. It's going to snap these. Let me just see if I can use component on this again. So I'm going to snap these in. there. Let's grab these. Let's snap these into there. So I'm just using V again on this. Let's snap these into there. And if I just grab verts, not vert faces. Let's grab those vertices. Let's grab those verts. And let's grab those verts there. And I just want to merge those down. So just click on merge. I kind of up the threshold, so 0.1 is too high. 0.05. Let's go. No, 0.05. Okay. What I just like to do quickly is just click on one of these and just make sure that they are connected. So we're getting that kind of look. Let me just click off wireframe shading. Okay, so we're just getting that there. So it's quite a subtle thing. Again, just thinking about normal maps, what I may just do with this is just go into these edges. Let's just go into object. And still on my slide, I'm just going to move these back a little bit. Again, just thinking about how these are going to read as a normal map. Slide those back. Okay. I do want to get just the these two bolts on as well. So let me just create a cylinder. Let's just bring this up. Let's press F to focus in on that. Let's snap this over. So just pressing J with my rotation tool. Just going to snap that to 90 degrees. I'm going to scale this down. Let's just put this into place roughly. Okay. Just referring to my reference. Again, I'm just kind of eyeballing these. Doesn't have to be perfect. If I just grab this, I don't want this back face. It's doing nothing. So, I mean, I'm not doing it for the poly count, but I can kind of ignore it then. So if I grab face, if I grab these, so basically all the other faces, and then I shift to drag around that, that's going to invert the selection. So I can get that back piece. Grab this, let's just bring this in a bit. And what I'll do as well is I'll just set the pivot point on this. So D and V again, just middle mouse just to this. So then this just makes it a bit easier for me to get that in position. And I will rotate this as well to get something like that. Okay. Let's just rotate this on this view. Okay, something like that. I'm just going to grab this edge. Let me just come out of this mode for a second. Go into Q. Just grab this edge. Scale this down a little bit. Again, just thinking about that normal map's going to read. And what I'll also do with this is just bevel this. Something like that. Move that a little more in. I'm just going to Control D this. Just position this as necessary. Let's grab both of those. Let's Control D. Let me just move these down. Press F to focus in on those. I can just move them in. Just checking the positions of these again. So I'm not worried about having these two uniform because obviously they wouldn't be. These were hammered in. Control D. Again, just focusing on those. Bring these down. Let's bring this in. Again, just fix these rotations. I've got this on object, so it's going in as I need it to. Okay. Something like that. So I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to let me just delete these first actually. Grab this, shift, drag around, and that's going to get my selection. Just going to get all of those. Now this is going to move my pivot point. So I'll have to reset that because I'm going to do a mesh combine. And in fact, it didn't. It left it as it was. Okay, great. So that just means I can just mirror those down a lot more easily. So let's duplicate that, Control D. Let's mirror that on the -Y. And then I've got all those details in there. Okay. So we have something like that. So just finally with this, let me just make sure, see, because I've created these afterwards, what it's done is it's not got them, and I've merged them together. It's not got them in the high poly layer. So I just need to make sure that I select all of these, right click on the high poly layer and add selected objects, just to keep on top of that. Okay, we've got our low poly, we've got our high poly, and this is now going up 6,332. So I'm going to go back into my low poly, I'm going to get this ready. I'm going to grab this, and let's UV this. So to the UV editor, let's just bring this over. I've also got my UV toolkit. Just dock that in there. If you don't see your UV toolkit, just under tools, you have this. This will say show UV toolkit rather than hide. I'm going to basically get rid of the UVs it has right now. Under my create menu, under here, I'm just going to go into planar, and I'm going to click the middle button just to do it from the top. So essentially we have no UVs on there at all, or we have a planar UV. We could have also done that through UV and done a planar UV. This is a quicker way to do it. Essentially when you click through this, it gives you different UVs. So if I do this, it's a bit good to see. If I left click, we're looking from this angle, which I believe is a Z. Oh, that's the X, sorry. If we do it, so that's left click. If I do a right click, we're looking at it from the Z this time. If I do a middle click, we're looking at it from the Y axis. Okay. And then I'll just pull this to the side for a second. I'm going to separate off the top and bottom of this, so I can UV around the side and UV the top and bottom separately. So I'm just going to go into edge mode and go into this new tool in Maya 2018, 3D cut and sew UV tool, which is a fantastic tool. So what I can do is I can shift click on edges, and as that completes the loop, you see it puts in a different color, and that's separated this off into a different UV island. Let's do the same on the bottom here. Click on that side. Oops. Shift click on that side. If you do make a mistake, by the way, you can press Control, and that will weld the seam. Shift will create a seam. And then I also need a cut through one of these. If I just double click or shift double click on that, that's going to create a seam. But because this is a separate UV island, it's not carrying on the loop through here. So this is going to unfold from here and unfold around, and these are going to just almost be like a planar UV anyway. So I can right click and I can exit that tool. You can also just click on the move tool. In my UVs, I'm just going to grab all of those UVs, and under the unfold section, I can just click on unfold, and that's going to break that out. It just looks like I have just a random vert on there. Look at vertices. Yeah, I have. Let me just fix that a second. Just see where that is. Somewhere on here. So I just grab that and just backspace that. Okay, get rid of those problems now. That would have been an N-gon. So the UV allowed me to see that little problem. So right now, if I put the checkerboard on, we have different textile densities on these. This has more textile density than the size of the barrel. I want them all to be the same. So there's a couple of ways to do that. If I click on the barrel or double click on these UVs, what I can do in the transform section is I can use this textile density. So what I can do is get the textile density of this, click on this one or double click on one of the UVs, it will select them all. I can set that. Click on this one and set, and that will set them out. Let me just get this again. That seemed to, yep, seems to have done the job. Another way to do that as well, let me just undo that. If I grab this and I go into the layout, and if I go into the options for that by shift clicking on the layout, under here, what I can do is the shell. I'm going to switch off the shell rotation, the shell pre-scaling. If I preserve the 3D ratios on that and have that clicked on, then that will allow me to scale these anyway. So that's useful. That's basically does the same as what I just did with the get and the set for the textile density. I'm going to put a bit of padding on that, so padding between the shells and a little bit of padding on the tile, 20 and 10. Okay, just apply that. And there I have my UVs, and if I put the checkerboard on, you see now that they're the same textile density on that. Okay, so that's my UVs. So the final thing on this is just to export these. So I'm going to grab this, clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to delete the history. I'm going to freeze the transformations, even though they haven't been moved. And then what I'm going to do for the high poly model is I'm actually going to triangulate this as well. Depending on what you're doing, I'm going into a game engine in this. So I'm going to mesh, triangulate, and I'm going to let it do the job for me rather than me having to do that manually. An object like this, I can kind of get away with that. And then File, Export Selection. So I'm going to do this in FBX. You used to be able to triangulate on the export for the FBX, but that can cause problems now. So I've just got under the geometry, smoothing groups, and smooth mesh on there. I'm going to leave off triangulate. I have an exports folder. What I'll do is I'll just save over these that I've already got. So barrel underscore low. Export that selection. Let me hide that. And this is the beauty of having layers. Click on my high poly. And I just want to do one more thing on this. In Substance Painter, I want to be able to have a different material on these. I don't know why, but it looks like, I'll just go grab this. It looks like this is joined in with this. So I'll just double click, I'll just shift double click on that, or even just double click on that. And I'm going to extract that to make sure that's on its own. Okay. So I'll grab that and shift click on this, and I'm just going to put a new material on this. So assign new material, it's going to have a basic Lambert, and all I'm going to do is just change the color on that. Okay, and that's going to allow me to create a different ID once I'm within Substance Painter. So again, let's just grab all of this. I will just delete the history on this. I don't think I need to do the modify, but I will do. I'm just going to go in. Actually, if you have flipped something on these, and I don't know if this will have on that. See on this? Yeah, got the -1 there. If you do have that, then sometimes what happens in Substance Painter is it will essentially have the normals flipped. So just keep on top of those kind of things. So let's grab that, modify freeze transforms. I don't really need to triangulate this, so I'm just going to export that out. And this time I'm going to do this as barrel high. Okay. So there I have all my things ready, exported out, UVs. I don't need to UV the high poly, just a low poly. And that's done, ready to go into Substance Painter.